The black SUV disappeared over the crest of the hill, leaving a trail of dust that hung in the air like a veil. Nathan Price was gone, but the poison he had spit onto the porch remained, settling over the Fleming family with a suffocating weight. Amy stood frozen, her eyes fixed on the empty driveway. The adrenaline that had fueled her confrontation with the cleaners, the righteous anger that had propelled her to call Nathan out, it was all draining away, replaced by a cold, creeping nausea. Nathan's parting words echoed in her mind, bouncing around the hollow spaces of her doubt. Who has more to gain by destroying our deal? The sister who can't stand to see you succeed without her? It was a monstrous accusation. It was absurd. And yet, like a hook caught in soft flesh, it held. Amy turned slowly to look at Lou. Lou was standing by the railing, her chest heaving, her hair wild and wind-blown. She looked exhausted, manic even. She was clutching the lab report in her pocket, as if it were a holy relic, her eyes wide with the shock of Nathan's counterattack. To a stranger, she might have looked like a hero who had just saved the day. But to Amy, viewing her through the warped lens Nathan had just handed her, Lou looked unstable.
He said he's going to bring evidence.
Evidence? Of what? That I'm a criminal mastermind? Amy, he's bluffing. He's trying to scare you. That's what narcissists do when they're cornered. They project.
He didn't look scared, Lou. He looked confident.
Of course he looked confident. He's a con artist. That's his job.
Lou took a step toward Amy, reaching out a hand. It was a gesture of comfort. A sister reaching for a sister, but Amy flinched. It was a small, involuntary movement, a shifting of weight backward, but it hit Lou like a slap across the face. Lou froze, her hand hovering in the empty space between them.
You don't believe him. Tell me you don't believe him.
Amy looked at Lou's hand, then up at her eyes. She wanted to say no. She wanted to scream that Nathan was a liar, and Lou was her blood. But the doubt was a fast-growing weed. Lou had been erratic lately. Lou had been jealous of Nathan's involvement. Lou was the one who scraped the mold and tested the mold, all in the dead of night with no witnesses.
I found it because I was looking for it, because I know this ranch, Amy. I know that feed room doesn't grow mold.
Lou's voice rose, shrill and desperate. She sounded frantic. She sounded like someone trying to cover their tracks with volume. Jack Bartlett pushed himself off the railing. He walked between them, a physical barrier of denim and flannel. He didn't look at Amy with anger, but with a deep, weary disappointment.
That's enough.
Grandpa, I'm just trying to understand.
You're trying to rationalize a lie because the truth hurts too much. Nathan Price is a snake, Amy. We all know it. Even you know it, deep down. That's why you stopped the cleaners.
I stopped the cleaners because of the report, but Nathan says the report is part of the setup.
And you think your sister painted a wall to sabotage you?
Amy looked at Jack. The shame burned her cheeks.
I don't know what to think. Nathan made points, Grandpa. Lou has been sidelined. She has been fighting me on this deal since day one.
Because it's a bad deal, Amy.
Or because it wasn't your deal.
The words hung in the air, sharp and ugly. Lou recoiled, tears springing to her eyes. This was the core of their conflict, the ancient wound of the older sister who manages and the younger sister who shines. Nathan had found that wound and poured salt directly into it. Jack shook his head. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his keys. The jingle of metal was sharp in the silence.
I'm not going to stand here and listen to you. Let that man tear this family apart. He deals in smoke and mirrors. You want clarity? Fine. Let's go get some clarity.
What do you mean?
I mean the construction site.
Amy frowned.
What construction site?
The one Lou signed the water rights. Amy, it doesn't exist.
Amy stared at him.
What? Of course it exists.
Have you seen it?
Well, no.
I drove out there 3 days ago. Dex and I. There's no label. Cars with no company marks. It felt staged.
Amy shook her head, a cold knot of dread forming in her stomach. Amy looked at Lou. Lou nodded, her face grim.
It's true, Amy. We tried to tell you, but you were so wrapped up in his vision that you wouldn't listen.
Amy felt the world tilting again. If the site was empty, then Nathan was a fraud. Everything he had said was a lie. And if he was a fraud, then the paint, the inspection, the sabotage, it all fit. But a small, stubborn part of her, the part that had felt seen and understood by Nathan, clung to the possibility of a misunderstanding. Maybe they went to the wrong site. Maybe construction was on a break.
Take me there.
Jack nodded. He opened the door and climbed in. Lou walked down the steps. She hesitated as she passed Amy.
I'm not the enemy, Amy. I'm just the one who refuses to let you be the victim.
Lou got into the back seat. Amy stood on the gravel for a moment longer. The wind whipped her hair across her face, stinging her eyes. She looked at the horizon where the storm clouds were gathering, dark and bruised against the blue sky. She felt a profound sense of loss. She was driving out to a field to bury a relationship. She was driving out to prove that the man she had let into her life was a monster. She walked to the passenger door and got in. The truck pulled away from the house, rolling down the long driveway. The cab was silent. No radio. No small talk. Just the sound of tires on gravel and the heavy breathing of three people who were all terrified of what they were about to find. For Jack and Lou, the fear was that Amy wouldn't believe them even when she saw the truth. For Amy, the fear was that they were right. In 20 minutes, she would know about it. The cabin of Jack's pickup truck was a vacuum of tension. Outside, the landscape rolled by scrub brush, pine trees, and the vast, open sky of the Alberta foothills. Inside, the silence was thick enough to choke on. Amy sat in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. In the back seat, Lou leaned forward between the seats, her eyes scanning the horizon like a hawk hunting for prey. Jack drove with both hands on the wheel, his jaw set in a line of grim determination.
Just over this rise.
Jack's voice was rough, breaking the silence. He shifted gears, the truck groaning as it climbed the steep incline of the access road.
Prepare yourself, Amy. The papers he showed you that day, of Lou signing the contract of permanent water rights to the developer, was completely fake and fabricated. Upon investigating, we came to the site to find no ground of it.
I just want to see it, Grandpa.
Jack crested the hill. The sound hit them before the visual did. It was a wall of noise, the rhythmic clank-clank of pile drivers, the high-pitched beep of heavy machinery backing up, the roar of diesel excavators. Jack slammed on the brakes. The truck skidded to a halt in the gravel, dust billowing around the tires.
What the hell?
Dozens of men in neon vests swarmed over the site. Two massive yellow excavators were digging deep trenches in the earth. A crane was hoisting a steel beam into the air, and everywhere on the sides of the trucks, on the banners fluttering from the perimeter fence, on the hard hats of the workers was the logo Arrowhead Holdings. Amy stared, her mouth falling open slightly.
Staged?
No, this isn't possible.
Jack stared at the scene, blinking rapidly. He looked like a man who had walked into his own living room to find it rearranged by a poltergeist. The sheer scale of the operation was staggering.
You said it was staged. You said the workers weren't doing anything. You said there was no machinery, nor marking.
There wasn't. I swear to you, Amy, on your grandmother's grave, there wasn't.
Grandpa, look at it. They've dug foundations. That concrete takes days to cure. They are doing something.
Amy opened the door and jumped out. The noise was even louder outside. The smell of diesel and freshly turned earth filled her nose. Lou scrambled out of the back seat. Nearly tripping, she ran to the edge of the ridge, looking down at the sight with wild, terrified eyes.
It's a set. It has to be a set. Look at them. They're moving too fast.
Amy walked past her, shaking her head. She watched a cement mixer pouring gray sludge into a form. It looked real. It looked permanent.
You lied to me.
Before Lou could argue, a white pickup truck detached itself from the chaos below and drove up the access ramp toward them. It stopped a few yards away. A man stepped out. He was wearing a pristine white hard hat and a safety vest over a button-down shirt. He held a roll of blueprints under his arm. Lou froze. She recognized him. It was Bill Evans, the one who Lou allegedly sold the water rights of Heartland. Well, hello there. He walked up to them, extending a hand toward Lou. He didn't look elusive or shadowy. He looked like a harried project manager taking a break. Miss Fleming, isn't it? Lou, we spoke on the other day. Lower stared at his hand. She didn't shake it. She looked at him as if he were a demon wearing a human skin.
You're the fraud.
Evans blinked, his smile faltering into a look of polite confusion. He looked at Amy, then back at Lou. I beg your pardon.
Don't play dumb. You're the fake developer. You're the one who came to me, asking for a 1-month period of water rights for construction, and when I signed you forged it to something else.
Fake. Ma'am, we're pouring the foundation for the main arena today. I have 60 guys on payroll down there. He gestured to the hive of activity. And as for the water rights, I was actually going to ask you about that. I got the notice from someone else, Nathan Price, terminating the shared water rights agreement. Lou's jaw dropped. Look, I don't want any trouble. When I went to you for the water access issue, you signed it for the money you were getting. There wasn't a 1-month period in the contract. It was meant to be ours. Then Mr. Price came along and paid the full price. Lou looked at Evans, then at the bustling site, then at Amy. She felt the ground beneath her shifting. It was a perfect trap. The site proved Nathan was legitimate. And Bill Evans, the man she had claimed didn't exist, was standing right there, being polite and professional.
He's lying.
She lunged toward Evans, grabbing the sleeve of his vest.
Tell her, Nathan paid you to stage this.
Lou, stop it.
Jack pulled Lou back. She was trembling, her eyes wide and manic. She looked unhinged. Amy looked at her sister. She saw a woman who was screaming about fake contract while standing in front of the construction site.
Get in the truck.
Amy, please.
Get in the truck.
Amy didn't wait. She turned and walked back to the pickup. She felt sick. She felt foolish. Jack and Lou had dragged her out here to expose a fraud. And all they had done was expose their own vendetta. Nathan was building a future. Lou was building a conspiracy. Have a nice day, folks. Drive safe. Inside the truck, the silence was worse than the noise outside. Jack started the engine. He didn't say a word. He looked in the rearview mirror at the construction site. He saw the activity. He saw the money. And for the first time, even Jack Bartlett looked unsure. But Lou sat in the back seat, staring out the window at Bill Evans. As the truck pulled away, she saw Evans pull out his phone. He wasn't looking at blueprints. He was making a call. And just for a second, she saw him smile. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of an actor who just nailed his scene. But Amy didn't see it. Amy only saw the Arrowhead trucks. The living room of the farmhouse felt like a courtroom where the verdict had already been decided, but the evidence still had to be presented for the record. The curtains were drawn against the afternoon sun, casting the room in a dim sepia-toned gloom. Amy sat on the sofa, her laptop open on the coffee table in front of her. The screen glowed blue, illuminating her face, which was set in a mask of grim anticipation. Nathan stood by the fireplace, one arm resting on the mantel. He wasn't gloating. He wasn't smiling. He looked pained, staring down at the floor as if he were attending a funeral for a friend he had tried desperately to save. Lou stood in the doorway to the kitchen, arms crossed tightly over her chest. She was vibrating with tension, her eyes darting between Nathan and the laptop. Jack sat in his armchair, looking old and heavy. He wanted to defend Lou, but the construction site had shaken him. The bustling activity, the polite foreman, the sheer reality of the concrete, it had chipped away at his certainty.
I didn't want to bring this to you, Amy. I really didn't. I told my security team to just drop it. But when you called me a fraud, when you accused me of staging a crime,
He sighed, shaking his head.
I had them pull the cloud backups from the barn's internal security feed, just to be sure.
Just show me.
Nathan nodded at the laptop.
It's the file marked cam_04_feed_room.
Amy reached out. Her finger hovered over the trackpad. She didn't want to click it. She wanted to close the computer, throw Nathan out, and go back to a world where her sister was just annoying. Not malicious. But she couldn't. The image of the empty field turning into a construction site was still burned into her retinas. She clicked play. The video player opened. The footage was grainy, the black and white night vision mode washing out the details of the feed room. It showed the rows of grain sacks, the ventilation duct, and the back wall. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Just the silent, ghostly stillness of an empty barn. Then the side door opened. A figure slipped inside. Even in the graininess, the silhouette was unmistakable. The messy bun, the long coat, the stealthy, hurried movements. It was Lou. Amy watched as the on-screen Lou pulled out a flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, flaring white in the camera lens. She walked straight to the back corner, the corner where the mold would later be found. Lou knelt down. She pulled something out of her pocket, a container and a tool. She began to do something on the wall.
That's you, Lou.
Yes, that's me. That was last night. I told you I went there to get the sample. I was scraping the paint off to test it.
Amy watched the screen. Lou's actions were frantic. She scraped. She put something in the bottle. She touched the wall.
Look at the timestamp, Amy, bottom right corner.
Amy shifted her gaze. The white digital numbers were ticking away in the corner of the feed. 23 hours, 14 minutes, and 8 seconds. Amy blinked. She looked at the date.
Tuesday.
The word hung in the air like a guillotine blade.
This says Tuesday, 11 p.m.
What?
Lou rushed forward, practically falling over the coffee table to look at the screen.
No, that's impossible. I was there Friday morning, yesterday. That date is wrong.
The system logs are automated, Lou. They sync with the global server. Tuesday night, system can't be forged, Lou. You know that, right? It was 3 days before the inspector arrived.
Tuesday.
Amy's mind raced, connecting the dots that Nathan was skillfully drawing for her. Tuesday was the night before the mold appeared. Tuesday was before the cancellation. Tuesday was before the chaos. If Lou was there on Tuesday, scraping at a clean wall, or applying something to it, then everything Lou had said was a lie. She hadn't found the mold. She had planted it. She hadn't discovered the paint. She had applied it, knowing exactly where to scrape it off later to prove her theory.
You were there before the mold appeared.
No, Amy, listen to me. He hacked it. He changed the timestamp.
Lou grabbed Amy's arm, shaking her.
Don't you see? It's digital. Anything digital can be faked. He changed the date to make it look like I planted it.
Like he faked the construction site? Like he faked the contract you signed?
Yes, exactly. He is doing all of it.
How? How is one man doing all of this, Lou? Is he a wizard? Does he control time?
Amy stood up, pushing the laptop away. She looked at the video again, the grainy image of her sister in the dark, doing something secret in the exact spot that had almost cost them the ranch.
She saw us getting close. She saw the deal happening. She wanted to create a problem only she could solve.
Shut up. You shut your mouth.
Lou spun around, lunging at Nathan. Jack caught her, holding her back by the shoulders.
Lou, settle down.
He's erasing reality, Grandpa. He's rewriting it right in front of us.
Nathan didn't flinch. He just looked at Amy with sad, sympathetic eyes.
I didn't want to believe it either, but the camera doesn't lie.
Amy looked at the timestamp one last time. Tuesday. It was objective data. It was a number. And numbers didn't have jealousies. Numbers didn't have agendas. She looked at Lou. She didn't see the sister who had protected her. She saw the woman in the video a shadow in the dark, manipulating the world to fit her narrative.
You did it.
Amy.
You painted the wall. You called the inspector. You did it all to stop me from signing that contract.
I collected a sample. I proved it was paint.
You proved it was paint because you knew it was paint, because you bought it.
Amy turned away, unable to look at her anymore. The betrayal was absolute. It wasn't just sabotage. It was a violation of their bond. Lou had gaslight her. Lou had made her feel crazy for trusting a man who, according to the evidence, had done nothing but try to run a business. Amy felt a sob rising in her throat, but she swallowed it down. She wouldn't cry. Not in front of Nathan. Not in front of the sister who had stabbed her in the back.
Get out.
What?
Get out of my house.
Lou Fleming stood in the center of the living room, her hands trembling. She felt a sensation akin to vertigo, as if the floor had suddenly dropped away into a bottomless pit. She looked at the laptop screen at the timestamp that read Tuesday. It was a digital lie, a few pixels rearranged on a screen, but it carried the weight of a gavel strike. She looked at Jack. Her grandfather was staring at his boots, unable to meet her eyes. He was the rock of the family, but even rocks can be eroded by a relentless tide of evidence. The construction site had cracked him. The video had broken him. She looked at Nathan. He was watching her with a look of polite, sorrowful detachment. It was the look of a doctor observing a patient in a psychiatric ward. He had done it. He had constructed a reality where he was the savior and she was the arsonist, and he had done it so perfectly that there were no seams left to pick at. Amy stepped around the coffee table. She was shaking, her face flushed with a mixture of rage and grief.
It all makes sense now. The construction site was real. The water rights contract was real. The only thing that didn't fit was you.
Amy, listen to yourself. You're trusting a video file over your own sister.
I'm trusting my eyes, Lou.
Amy slammed her hand onto the back of the sofa. Dust motes danced in the shaft of light from the window.
You couldn't stand it. You couldn't stand that I was making a deal without you. You couldn't stand that Nathan was fixing things you couldn't fix, so you broke them. You painted the wall. You called the inspector. You terrified me. You let me think we were losing everything just so you could swoop in and be the hero who solved the mystery.
No, I did it to save you.
Save me? You almost destroyed us. You want me to fail. You want me to be the little sister who needs you to run her life. You hate that I'm standing on my own 2 feet.
The accusation hit Lou like a physical blow. She took a step back, her back hitting the doorframe. She looked at Amy, really looked at her, and saw a stranger. This wasn't the sister she had protected from storms and heartbreak. This was a woman who had chosen a beautiful lie over a messy truth. Lou's anger drained away in an instant, leaving behind a cold, hollow clarity. There was no point in screaming. There was no point in arguing about timestamps or pixels. Amy had made her choice. She had chosen the predator because he told her she was pretty, and she had rejected the protector because she told her the house was on fire. Lo straightened her spine. She wiped the single tear that had escaped down her cheek. Her voice dropped to a whisper, dead calm and terrifyingly final.
I don't want you to fail, Amy. I have spent my entire life making sure you didn't fail.
She looked at Nathan. He didn't blink.
But I can't save someone who is determined to drown.
Lou turned to Jack.
I'll send for my things.
Lou, wait, don't do this. We can figure this out.
There's nothing to figure out, Grandpa. She made her choice. And I'm done watching her destroy herself.
Lou walked to the front door. She grabbed her coat from the hook. She didn't look back at the living room. She didn't look back at the video of her crime. She opened the door. The wind outside was cold, biting, and real. It felt better than the stifling heat of the house.
Good luck, Amy, with him. You're going to need it.
Amy stood in the silence of the living room, her chest heaving. She stared at the closed door. A part of her wanted to run after Lou. A part of her wanted to scream that it was a mistake. But then she looked at the laptop. She saw the date. Tuesday. She looked at Nathan. He walked over to her, placing a gentle, steadying hand on her shoulder.
I'm so sorry, Amy. I never wanted this to happen.
Amy leaned into his touch. It felt solid. It felt safe.
It's not your fault.
She closed her eyes, letting the lie wrap around her like a warm blanket. Outside, an engine started and faded into the distance. Lou was gone, and for the first time in the history of Heartland, the sisters were on opposite sides of a war that Amy didn't even realize she was losing.